IPMNation.com.
I have to tell you, I'm very fired up about today's show. I really am. This is going to be something else. Here we go.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Welcome, as the announcer says, it's Brian, fired up to be spending yet another hour with you here on All Natural Being, whether you're listening this morning live, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern, a little later today, 11 a.m., or maybe even a little later than that, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. It truly is an honor to get to hang out with you, the kindred, if you will, you and me. What's our goal? Reclaiming our all-natural being. How do we do it? Asking ourselves a simple question. Why do you and I at times, not always, but from time to time, why do we avoid who we actually are? Why do we apologize, you and me? Why do we apologize for who we are already? That's what we do here each day on All Natural Being. I like to think of it, philosophical loofah. A jackhammer, a pumice stone, doing whatever we can to remove all of our baggage so that you and I can breathe. Our all-natural being can breathe. We can call our soul off the sidelines because there's no reason for our soul to be stifled anymore. How's that working out for us? I think a part of it, to be honest, I've come up with some new syndromes, right? It's popular today to come up with things that, oh, well, we're going to try to create a drug, so what do we need? Oh, we need a headache first. That's what we need. Great idea. Let's come up with a syndrome. Because if we come up with a syndrome and then we advertise it, everyone will think they have it. And then we'll go, oh, look, I have a little snake oil pill here for you that will work. We're going to get into it here in a little bit on the downside of the self-help industry tactics, the downside of constantly selling ourselves short. We're going to get into that. But for right now, let me introduce my two latest epidemics. You heard them here first. If I knew how to use hashtags on Twitter, I would probably have hashtags here doing this. We'll talk about the two syndromes, which we're calling thin skinitis. Thin skinitis. Almost pretty self-explanatory, I would think. Oh, and here's another one of my favorites. Degenerating backbone syndrome. You know, you start off muscles, skeletal system, you end up like a tub of pudding. Now, it's not a commentary on physical. For some of us, those of us have a little more pudding than some of our other friends. But I'm talking about thin skinitis. I'm talking about degenerating backbone syndrome. I remember reading a post from England that they call it mollycoddled. We become so mollycoddled. I have a question for you. How do our feelings ever become eligible to be hurt? How do we have hurt feelings? How do we ever sign up for that in the first place? Between you and me, when did our feathers volunteer to be ruffled? Or our toes? Oh yeah, please, step on me. I don't remembering. Do you? I don't remember offering to be rubbed the wrong way. Or that I would stand by while my nose was a guinea pig bent on having itself knocked out of joint. A little bit of a challenge for me with the hair lip. My nose is always out of joint, but you get where I'm going with this. For you normal people with a couple of nostrils, functioning nostrils, not unlike me, when did you sign up to have your nose knocked out of joint? When did that become the vogue? How is it we let other people reach in and tweak us, pique us, affect us, rile us up, agitate us, trigger us into whatever's going to befall us after the fact. When did we let that happen? When did we sign up for that? We weren't born that way. And maybe that's why we avoid who we actually are. We've forgotten who we are. We're not avoiding who we are. We're avoiding the mashugana that we use as a facade, as we use as scaffolding, as we use as the masks in an attempt to fit into the herd. Oh, they're little herdlings. Oh, they're so cute. Let's give them something to eat. They're cute little herdlings. I was on Facebook way early this morning, and I saw an ad. How'd you like a field guide? A field guide. Honest to goodness. A field guide to figure out who you really are. Oh, we need a field guide? Oh, okay. I have an idea. If you and I stop apologizing for who we are, if we regenerate the backbone we were born with, if we return to the thickness of skin that we were born with, sticks and stones will hurt my bones, well, names will never, ever penetrate me, never make me treat myself like a pincushion looking for a pin. Over here, boys, over here. How did it happen? Where do we become derailed? Where does it become okay to be that thin-skinned? To have the backbone like the girth of a birthday candle? And I ask it again, when did our feelings ever become eligible to be hurt in the first place? Oh, well, she really ruffled my feathers. No, you ruffled your own feathers. We ruffle our own feathers. We step on our own toes. We get our own noses out of joint. But it fascinates me. When was that fork in the road where we allowed others outside of us, the opinions, chatterdom, the opinions of the herdlings around us, grazing? Hey, get off my blood. You're standing on my grass. I'm trying to graze here. When did we let them have a vote? Maybe that's why we keep apologizing for who we are, because that's not the real us. We would never apologize for the being of power that we are at our core. Which kind of leads me to today's anaerobic aphorism. Yesterday, I took a phone call from someone that listens to the show that said, well, I'd really like to do an all-natural being. I'd like you to do a show where you focus on how two all-natural beings come together. I thought that's a great idea. Let's do that. And then after I hung up, I thought, okay, well, why would we do something like that? What's the scoop? What's the deal? And the first word popped into my mind. No, it wasn't popcorn. First word popped in my mind, loneliness. We all seem so lonely. We're going to talk about that today. You and I know that loneliness is just a tactic used by fate to get you to look outside of yourself for the company that only you can give yourself. And when it comes to being in relationships, what do you get when you multiply a fraction by a fraction? If you multiply 1/2 by 1/2, what do you get? Well, unless we know who we truly are, and we're fractious, in need of defragmentation, we're running around looking for a relationship. It'd be pretty good to enter that relationship with our all-natural being, so we know exactly not only what we're getting into, but what our partner's getting into. And if we come in a relationship through our all-natural being, not through our baggage, right? Because we might one day outgrow our baggage. Not through our projections, where we're busy asking someone else to be the spackle to hold our lives together. Not saying that you do, but if you did, maybe we should look to spackle ourselves, seal up our own cracks, protect ourselves from the effects of weathering. Maybe we should do that. Because I suspect when two all-natural beings come together, know about it in an instant. Love at first sight, I guess you could call it that. But wouldn't you rather so much more have love at first sight when it's love at first sight, one all-natural being to another all-natural being, as opposed to one set of fractions to another set of fractions? So today's anaerobic aphorism, loneliness, what is it? It's the byproduct of your soul longing for your own heartfelt attention. When we're lonely, we can only get to that sense of loneliness because we've turned our backs on who we already are. Fate goes, nope, you're lonely. Because fate is scared to death. It loves the fact that you and I are going to avoid who we actually are. It loves it every single time we apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry I am the way I am. I really am. Fate loves it. Because if fate can dangle the carrot at the end of the stick is, oh, once you find someone else, well, two halves, if you have joined them together, it makes a whole. Two become one. Fate loves the idea of you looking outside of yourself for the spackle that's going to put your life, that's going to congeal you into an all-natural being. Allow you to reform who you ultimately are. And when it comes to looking at relationships, especially if you're channeling your all-natural being, there's no wonder all kinds of people are lining up. I want to hang out with her. I want to hang out. I want to be his pal. No wonder. I want to date him. I want to date her. Because they sense it. What do they sense? That underlying essence that is theirs as well. That's the charisma. Told you, I think it was last week, someone someone offering, oh, learn how to own any room. Learn how to turn every head. Well, that's a sure byproduct. That guarantees loneliness. Because the only head you need to turn is yourself. You need to turn your own head to take a look at what your soul is trying to say to you. That's the key to a relationship, is being 100% A-grade, all-natural you. And if you've gotten to that step, that plateau in your life, it's no wonder you got all kinds of people lining up to want to hang out with you. They're hoping some of that rubs off on them. But for those of us that are still lonely, it comes because our soul is just like stunned. It's like, what are we lonely about? I'm right here. And when you reconnect with that all-natural being, loneliness, automatically highlighted for what it is, a tactic, again, used by fate to get you to look outside of yourself. Fate is scared to death that you'll remember who you are, because then it can't control you anymore. Scared to death you'll figure out your all-natural being. Well, you and I are going to have to get to a point, especially with all the craziness going on around us in the world, we're going to have to get to the point. The people that will survive the future will be the ones that reconnect with their all-natural being. It's the only way it could be. All right, for those texting in, thank you so much. 331-684-7685. 331-684-SOUL. Of course, you can reach out to me on allnaturalbeing.com. Leave me your email. I'll trade you one back. Numbers are going up there every week, as they are here on Facebook. Brian Brawdy, official. Brian Brawdy, official. Send me a note here on Facebook. We'll go ahead and hook up that way as well. So, this morning, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. And we'll be right back.
IPMNation.com.
IPMNation.com. Independent, provocative, mobile, just like our minds should be. Just like our minds should be. Independent. And that's what we're looking at today. If we're independent, loneliness can never touch us. Because we're connected with our soul. We know who we are. We've channeled our all-natural being. There's not enough room to be lonely. Today's segments. Number 1. Loneliness is nothing more than a failure to remember who you are. And in that segment, we're going to talk about how our perceived identity, what we think of ourselves, frames our outlook. And in doing so, it gives others the insight into our shallow end. Because if our identity, if we perceive our identity as being shallow, that's our outlook, then the insight of those around us is going to be, well, that's one shallow dude. That's one shallow lady. So it's no wonder that we can be lonely. Because the shallow end, no one wants to hang out with their own shallow end, let alone your shallow end. So we're lonely, not because we don't have friends, but because we don't go deep enough. We don't reconnect with the marrow in our own minds. I don't want to get started now because I want to hold it for segment 1. But that's what we're going to discuss in segment 1. Now, segment 2, very fired up about this. You are your destiny. All fate is your distraction. And as I honestly believe in my heart, and I've said multiple times, anyone that will listen, fate's job is to hold over your head what is naturally beneath you. It's beneath you. The craziness that fate uses to derail us from our destiny, it's beneath us. We would never pay attention to it. And once you realize that ultimately your destiny is to add value to the lives of the people around you, then there's nothing fate can do. People say, oh, my destiny is to be a rock star. My destiny is to win the Nobel Prize. My destiny is blah, 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 blah. If your destiny in its mission statement doesn't have the desire to want to add value to the people around you, the co-human beings within your labyrinth, tangential to your labyrinth, if it doesn't have wanting to add value to them, you don't got much of a shelf life. Just saying. And then in segment 3, one of my favorites, I wanted to call it Takes Two to Hateful. It takes two to hateful. Hypersensitive to the melodrama playing in your mind. My goodness, just turn on the TV. Hopefully not right now. Give me the red. What, I got like 40 minutes left? Something like that? Not right now. Don't turn on the TV just yet. But after the show, turn it on, and you're going to see. Look at all the melodrama going on. This one's from this party. That one's from that party. This one said this. This one said that. Somebody, in speaking to our new syndromes, our epidemics, thin-skinitis, degenerating backbone syndrome. I see some big socialite got dropped off of Twitter because someone was offended about what he said. Offended. Twitter goes, oh, we got to stand up for that. And I absolutely expect to be dropped from Twitter. That's okay. What are you going to do? That little bird. Because here's the thing. When you block someone from suggesting, from posting what it is that they believe, you're encouraging everyone else around us to be thin-skinned. Oh, he said some very hurtful things. Oh, please, get over yourself. Or you could admit that you have degenerating backbone syndrome, that you suffer from thin-skinitis. Because if the ranting and the raving of another human being on Twitter about who you are, right? You don't get a vote. You don't get to say, oh, that's not me at all. It's what someone said about me on Twitter. How is that hurtful? How is that hurtful? If you had normal skin thickness, if you had a backbone with a natural girth, not normal, a natural girth, how could any of that get through to you? So what are we going to do? Let's block him. I don't even know the guy. I've never listened to one of his tweets. But the simple fact that Twitter would move to block someone because, oh, everyone's got thin skin. We have to do what we can to protect them. No, we don't. No, we don't. That's what the First Amendment is all about. Not this in this country, in the United States, but all over the world. Anyone listening to me, my friends in Singapore, my friends in Australia, my friends in Europe, my friends from Scotland listening. First Amendment is a great idea wherever you live on the planet. And I think when the framers of the Constitution came up with this concept of the freedom of speech is because it never dawned on them. They never, ever, ever dreamed that we would develop thin skinitis, that we would develop in just over a couple hundred years degenerating backbone syndrome, DBS. Well, they never thought that we would have such thin skin that someone saying, oh, you suck here, or you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and you're going to let that reframe what you think about yourself? Framers of the Constitution never thought that would happen. Thank you very much, Larry, for the tweet right there. Tweet. Oh, isn't that odd? I should see where Larry, maybe Larry works for Twitter. Maybe I'm already blocked, right? Oh, well, we have a board. We have a board that checks standards. Make sure you're not being offensive to anyone. Please, I'm begging you. Be offensive to me. But say anything you like. Honest to goodness, I love St. Patrick's Day just so people get to call me a Mick. Please feel free. What do I get? Oh, I love this. A hollow head wrapped in a hair lip. That's one of my favorites. Wah, wah, wah. Love that. Please feel free to exercise your First Amendment right and say whatever the hell you want about me. Oh, I'm sorry. I had tuned you out already. What? What were you saying? Please, take the Facebook. Take the Twitter. Take to any social media platform you want. Why am I confident that your little drool isn't going to get through to me? Why am I confident that the people busy sticking you or attempting to stick you with pins, how am I confident they're not going to get through to you? Because I trust you're going to channel your real backbone. Thin skin. That skin like leather. What are you going to do? Oh, he said some very hurtful things. It was just horrible. I was just mortified. Mortified. A human mind mortified by the words of some other person. Really, you were mortified. How do you get through the day? How do you get through the day? Because for the rest of us, we go, hey, sticks and stones. May hurt my bones. May hurt my bones. Names, no luck. People go, oh no, Bri. Their opinion, that was very hurtful. Only hurtful if you're a co-conspirator. CSI Mirror, dun dun dun. I'll get to the bottom of this, ma'am. Just the facts. Joe Friday. Stop acting like a pincushion open for business, and then you're not going to have to worry about the people sticking you with pins. Pretty simple stuff. I think as I look at everything going on today, oh, we'll block them on Twitter. We'll block her on Facebook. We can't have that kind of stuff being said anymore. And these same people screaming that they defend the Constitution, or at very least they defend the right to freedom of expression, are then the ones that turn around and tell you, oh, you can't say that. I was offended. I was hurt. That was really painful. You look at the condition the world is in. We're in the situation we're in because everyone has such thin skin. Please, take to Twitter, take to Facebook, take to allnaturalbeing.com, take out a road sign, get handbills printed. I couldn't care less. Neither should you. Let our critics say whatever they want. I'm assuming drool is good for people. Let them drool. Let them drool all over their shirt. What do you and I care? When you have a normal thickness, a natural thickness of skin, when you have a natural thickness of backbone, none of it gets through to you. Think about it. When was the last time you let the words of another get through to you? Not saying that building a buffer, having an ego shield, not saying it's easy, but it's simple. You and I can practice. I remember back in the days as a cop, other cops, somebody would drive by, they give you the finger. They'd arrest them for aggravated harassment. I think it was back in the day, that's what the charge was, because they give you the finger. I couldn't care less if somebody gave me a finger. I remember back in the day when I was doing it, people would holler, oh, pigs! I kept right on going. Sometimes I rolled up the window. Especially if I had the air conditioning on. I don't have to listen to that troll. Now, there are other people out there that are like, oh, no, I'm arresting them. Disorderly conduct. They hollered out pig in a public place. I learned early on the opinions of other people, horse manure. Don't listen to them. Oh, no, we got to do this. Got to have, I absolutely. got to be able to restrict people's rights to say what they want. No, you don't. Now I guess people are going to argue, oh, well, you can't scream fire if you're in a movie theater. Fair enough. I can see some of those things, right? Some of those things where your language can be insightful. You're calling for the death of another human being. But short of calling for the death of another human being, say what you want to say. For those of us with real skin, with a real backbone, we couldn't care less about your drool. Couldn't care less about your opinion. We stopped apologizing a long time ago for who we were. We stopped avoiding a long time ago who we actually are. We don't need your field guides. We know our all-natural being. We're connected to it. You have your opinion. God love you. I'd have it printed up on postcards. Oh, I know a printer. He could have that opinion, and you could put him on the back of a deck of playing cards. So the next time you're playing solitaire, you'll know exactly what's going on. I'm all over it. That's what you should do. Because the rest of us with a real backbone, the rest of us with real skin, we don't care about your opinion. We know that our soul can't be touched by it. We know who we are, and we're not apologizing for it. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. How much longer will you let them hijack your head and your heart?
How much longer are we going to let them hijack our head and our heart? That's a great question. Because here's the deal. If we let someone else's opinion of us get through to us, now here's the flip side of the coin, good or bad. If it's someone's applause or someone's acrimony, whether they're clapping for us or cursing us, we let it through, it's still on us. But when you sit in the position of your all-natural being and you realize that all of that is just incoming sensory data, you decide in the moment what you'll listen to and what you won't. And that's what made me write about loneliness today. Because loneliness is nothing more than a failure on our part to remember who we ultimately are. Because it's impossible for our soul to get lonely. So we look at our perceived identity, who we think we are. And it frames our outlook on life. If you think things aren't going smooth, then you're going to look at life and go, life isn't smooth. And then when other people meet you, their insight into you matches perfectly your outlook. And if you're like, oh, life is just a battle, then you wonder, well, wait a minute. No one wants to hang out in their shallow end. They don't like that idea. They like the idea of believing that life is a thrill, like we said yesterday. Life is a rock and roll show. If you're here, you should be working the red carpet. You should be a rock star. And that's charisma. The belief that this life is a great gig and we're grateful for it. But I got to tell you, you feel bad at times when you wake up and you meet these people day in and day out who let other people's opinions penetrate them, stick them, prick them, hurt them, pitchfork them. That's not the way you and I were built. So pretty soon, we start to look out and go, no, we're being pitchforked. And then we meet other people and they go, I don't want someone who believes they're being pitchforked. So charisma, truly, is nothing more than you channeling who you already are. And that's what I'd like you to think about. What is charisma? It's a recognition about who you really are. That's it. No need for self-help industry tactics. If you're going to act like a loser, that's what people... If your outlook on life, which is the insight that people have into you, if you feel like a loser, that's what other people go, wow, he feels like a loser. That's got to be... I'm just going with what he said. But instead of seeking self-help, what if we just remember who we are? You don't have to walk across beds of hot coals. You don't have to sit in a sweat lodge. You don't have to constantly be running around being productive. Well, I got to be productive. Why? Well, because I can't sit still. Why? Well, because that's when the voices come. That's when the depression comes. That's when the fear comes. That's when the sadness comes. That's when the melancholy comes. Ay, 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 ay. What if we sit 20 minutes, 20-minute victory? We sit for 20 minutes, thankful of who we are, thankful of all the natural resources we already possess. Natural resources that are just waiting to be called into the game. Natural resources, ready to go. Ready, willing, able, capable. Just call me, tap me, let me in. It's a tag team. Let me in. We don't use those natural resources. Oh, well, life's just too tough. No. Life isn't too tough. You and I aren't strong enough. Life isn't tough. And if those moments where we feel that life is tough, I would suggest we look and remember how strong we really are. That's charisma. I've talked before about self-help industry tactics. I've talked before about how it's your drug of choice. I'm fascinated by this concept. Everyone's got a hack now. They want to hack. Oh, hack your brain, hack your colon, hack your life, hack your entrepreneurial skills. Hack, 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 hack. This is going to go over huge, but let me just say, you know what I think? Hacks are for hacks. Please give me the hashtag, quote me. Don't want anyone else taking any flack on account of me. Why would you hack life? You're here to live life, which makes me all the time. Can I just tell you something else? It's one of those days today, right? So let me just get this out. It's popular now. Oh, 10x. 10x. See a bunch of people doing. Oh, you got to 10x this. You got to 10x that. You got to 10x your finances. 10x your love life. 10x this. Well, what if you're 10 timesing a fragmented sense of self? It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of a life. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to hack my brain. I'm going to hack my brain. I'm going to hack life. I want a shortcut. What are you hacking? If you have a fragmented sense of self, if you have thin skin, why would you want to 10 times the thin skin? If you have the backbone, the girth of a piece of dental floss, why would you want to magnify that 10 times? That's what you and I should reflect on when the world is busy going crazy around us. We want a 10x. We want to hack. We want the tips, the tricks, the secrets. We want all these things. What if there isn't any tip, any hack, any secrets, other than you being you? Stop apologizing for who you are. Well, I'd like to be 10 times who I am. You may not want to. Careful what you wish for. Because you're busy channeling your all-natural being. You're already like 10,000 times what those around you are. Oh no, gotta hack it. Gotta figure out a way. Figure out a shortcut. Shortcut to what? If you and I are to the point where we can't confront the cliffhanger that is our life, if we can't cultivate, if we can't call up, if we can't recognize the courage for around the corner here in the labyrinth, what are we going to hack? Maybe self-help and the self-help industry tactics. Maybe they're not what we need. Maybe they're not for us. Maybe there really is something about it. And I've said before, if you're a self-help author, you're going to write 50 books. You couldn't have said it in one book. If the field guide to the human mind, surviving life, if it takes you 50 books to get it out, spit it out already, I got stuff to do. Or, as I've said before, if I ever write a self-help book, it's more like going to be a self-help postcard, probably even be perforated. It'd be 3 words. Self-help book, $19.95. Or you buy it on Kindle, $18.95. Only $1 cheaper, even though we're not cutting down trees to print the books. So it's still only $1 cheaper. Unless, of course, you're a philosophy professor at a major university and you think your books are worth $200. Who said loser? I never said that. If I ever do a self-help book, it's going to be a self-help postcard. I'm going to ask you, who are you? Oh, I need a 10x plan for productivity. No, you don't get it. Not here. Not at All Natural Being. I got a question for you. No 10x. I got one question. I got a question mark. No multiplication signs. I got a question mark for you. Who are you? Are you a person that thinks you're in need of self-help? What sucks? What stinks about? You just can't teach an old dog new tricks. Honest to goodness, I'm telling you, you can't do it. What stinks so bad about your life that you need help? We'll be right back.
You're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Because it's never too late to take your life back.
Never too late to take your life back. Let's go ahead and sign for it and go, come on, come on, come on, come on. How are we going to do that? Segment 2. Look how that all fit together. Segment 2. You are your destiny. You're here to make the lives of those around you better. And along the way, you get to warm yourself by that fire. You're here to manifest your destiny. Fate is here to distract you. People go, I'd like to know the meaning of life. No, there's not much to it. You have a destiny. Fate will do anything it can to derail you, to distract you. That's why I said in the tease, fate wants to hold over your head what is naturally beneath you. If it were anyone else, you say, oh, he's so thin-skinned. Oh, you can't say anything to him. It's like walking on eggshells around her. That's how you want to be known? Social media. Oh, he said some horrible things about me.
Oh, I can't even believe she went there. Oh, I went there. Oh, I can't even believe she did.
What does it matter? That's beneath you. It's most certainly beneath your all-natural being. Which made me think of another article that I read this morning. Kind of fits in here, kind of doesn't, but we're going to do it anyways. It's an article in New York Magazine I kind of dig. It's an article in here, the title of it by Carrie Rom, The Case Against Having a Backup Plan. Oh, having a rodeo clown. Something happens, you get a safety net if you fall. Well, the researchers at the Universities of Wisconsin and the Universities of Pennsylvania broke down the main finding of a particular study that they published in the Organizational Behavior and Human Decision Process. This is a magazine. Quote, just thinking about Plan B can diminish the amount of effort you're putting into Plan A, making it less likely that you'll actually achieve whatever you set out to do. Now, let me have a fallback plan. Want an insurance policy. Well, what if you and I, for just 20 minutes, no fallback plan? We put our whole heart, dovetailed our heart and our head into this moment. We're not distracted by fate and its entourage of everything. Loneliness, thin skin, the backbone with the girth of a seagull feather. Oh, which reminds me, I had to tell you this. This will only get me in trouble. A couple days ago, I was out for a run, and one of the places that I run near my home is close to a mall. And there's seagulls everywhere. Birds flying around, everything. Someone had dropped some French fries apparently in the parking lot. Someone dropped this, someone dropped that. Birds having a picnic. A field. It was like an open buffet at Golden Corral, right? Even the only thing missing was the liquid fondue set. And then, as I ran a little closer, there was a box. I'm not going to name the company in case you happen to be a huge fan. But there were these little circular donuts. Looked like little, smaller than a golf ball, like a ping pong ball. A little bigger than a marble, but like about a ping pong ball size. Little balls of donuts. Some might call them holes. Who am I to say? I don't know. But of all the food that was on the ground, the only food the seagulls weren't touching, this pile of little chocolate donut balls. Maybe more like the size of a quarter. About that size. A ping pong ball, I'm thinking. Wouldn't touch them. I just thought that would be a little bit of an aside. So if your fallback plans, you ever get hungry, I think I'll stop over and get some donut balls. Even the seagulls don't like them. Not to, it's no commentary on anything else. Just I would mention that. So let's get back to a plan B. Plan B, apparently, you cave on yourself before you even get started. Your plan B is like, here I am. I'm good. I know what's going on. If this doesn't work, swing, whiff, yawn. I'll take a nap. Get up, have some snacks. Watch cable news for a little bit. See people screaming, yelling, spitting on each other. Getting all worked up. And then I'll just adopt my fallback plan. That's a good plan for the day. I think that's what I'll do. Onward. If it doesn't work, I'll have a fallback plan. Well, these doctors, these researchers are now saying, look, the fallback plan makes you kind of sell yourself short in the moment. So what if you and I were to agree? No fallback plans. What if you and I were to agree? We're not going to be distracted by fate. We're going to manifest our destiny. No fallback plans. We're going to add value to the lives of the people around us. We're not going to stand anymore for fate holding over our head what's naturally beneath us. I mean, think about it. Just think back 15 years. Someone had a negative comment. You didn't ignore them. You didn't just go, yeah, whatever, pal. All right, sis, whatever you think. So what's happened to us in a decade? Oh, let's get them blocked on Twitter. Let's make sure they're removed from Facebook. Why? Oh, because they said some snotty things. Oh, okay. Now again, for all the critics, wah, wah, wah. Everyone's going to be calling in, sending emails. I love them. Please keep them coming. Don't be discouraged by the whining baby sounds. Keep them coming. If you're going to get to the point where you're like, hey, every little thing is going to derail me, what kind of life is that for you? Is that what you really want? Is that the legacy you want to leave for yourself? That the words, the ramblings of another person, their rhetoric, remanded you to a sucky life? The rhetoric of another human being imprisoned you. Why would we do that to ourselves? That's not who we are. That's not how we were born. Everyone wants to get ripped. Everyone wants six-pack abs. Everyone wants, all these things that you hear about. Well, what if we got ripped in our minds? What if we said, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore? Loneliness is a parlor trick by fate to get me to look outside myself. And I can imagine some people listening going, Brian, you don't know what it's like to be lonely. Well, you're wrong. And let me also say that immediately following my father's suicide, my father left a note saying that the reason that he had taken his own life was because of the conversation he and I had. A conversation he and I didn't have. I refused to take the call. So everyone can line up with a little pity party about what it feels like to feel lonely in life. But until you're in the position that I'm in to feel responsible in that moment, though I don't know, until you're in that position to feel responsible for the death of another human being, don't tell me about lonely. So what do? You remember who you are at your core. You go back to the root of your soul, to quote Rumi. You go back, as Yusanar said, you go back to the sap of your soul where we're all connected. And you can't be lonely. Kick and scream and bitch and moan the way the ego may try. We're not lonely when we remember who you are. And if you get lonely otherwise, outside of that, send me an email. Send me a text. Thank you to the 3 new followers just coming in. Oh, I'm supposed to keep saying this. 331-684-7685, 331-684-SOUL. Reach out. If you're lonely, we'll hang together. I'll remind you of who you ultimately are. I like the idea of being your pumice stone, your philosophical loofah, to remove all the fog, all the psycho fat and flab that's keeping you from remembering who you ultimately are, the badass, if you want to quote Jen Sincero, the badass that you already are. Because that's the key. We're never lonely. Once we can honestly look at ourselves in the mirror and remember who we are. Take a quick break. Come back to segment number 3. The melodrama. The pain of it all.
No self-help industry tactics here. You're listening to The Real Deal, Brian Brawdy, with All Natural Being on IPM Nation.
Thank you very much, Matthew. IPMNation.com if you get a chance. If you're listening live, thank you very much for that. Thank you. We're approaching, coming up on our 80th, somewhere in there. 80th episode, show, whatever you like. Still number 1. As you know, I believe we're number 1 because this is a show about you. This is a show about who you truly are. Not the way we get sidetracked. We're so hypersensitive, which leads us into segment 3. We're so hypersensitive to the melodrama. Dun, dun, dun. That plays in our mind. And I wrote as a tagline for that, it takes 2 to hateful. The melodrama. That's yet another way that fate, ego's partner, its sidekick, its entourage, its gang, its posse, its group, right? Because the ego and fate love hanging out in the shallow ends. Fate can't stand the idea of going vertical, can't stand the idea of going deep, can't stand the idea of confronting your all-natural being. So what does it do? Hangs out in the shallows with your ego. Not allowed to go any deeper. But still, let's focus this morning a little bit, or later morning, or evening, if you're listening. Let's focus a little bit on some of the things, some of the proven tactical things that you and I can do if we think we're lonely. How many times have we discussed before in the past, or at least how many times have I said, it's a difference between showing up or shutting down. We feel lonely. Find something. Let's get out and do something. We don't have to shut down, sit on our couch with a remote and our fluffy slippers and our robe, talking about how lonely we are. Let's get out and do something. Maybe even, if you don't want to go out, if it's raining or it's cold or it's chilly or the mosquitoes are too bad, maybe we could find an online chat room that we could hang out in for a little bit. You know what I do sometimes? For me, still works. I take myself out to dinner. Go grab a lunch. Go for a hike in the woods. Do what I can to just keep myself moving. Another thing I like to do, and I will tell you, given the amount of time that I've spent alone in the woods, alone in the wilderness, start to clarify in your mind right away the difference between isolation and being alone. If it's self-imposed isolation, you need a breather. You need a break. It's been my experience that when you give yourself that break, where you force yourself even farther away from all the disconnection you feel? When you actively recruit it, part of your mind goes, well, it can't be that bad if he's actively recruiting more of it. How horrible can it really be? She's looking for some time alone in a hike in the woods. Checkmate. You win. Another cool way, you can volunteer. Do stuff to help other people. You're going to find other people that are out there volunteering, doing what they can to help other people. How cool would that be? You could do that. That's a cool way. And of course, for friends that have dogs or cats or pigs, parrots, lizards, snakes, hanging out with a pet, not a bad way to go. Being cool to another being. Sometimes I take a shower. I read a book. You never know when it's going to hit. It doesn't make us abnormal. It doesn't mean that we can't be surrounded by people. We'll still be like, I could use a little bit of time away. I could use a little bit of time with my soul. Now, fate and the ego is going to go, oh, you're lonely. You're lonely. We got to find something to fill that void with. Yeah, how about a shot of soul? How about filling the void with that? No self-pity. How about a little bit of self-gratitude, a little bit of self-compassion, a little bit of self-recognition? Sometimes you can go for a run. If you like coffee, I guess you could get some coffee. Find a new class. Write in your journal. Maybe take up yoga, chess, shuffleboard, canasta. Canasta? That reminds me of a time in an RV park. I get in. Well, I was a little bit younger at the time, but it was like a 65 and older park, and I guess they didn't check me at the gate. Got to get in, set up my thing, get in, and they invited me to play canasta and shuffleboard at the pool. That was kind of cool. That takes away the sting of being on the open road, lonely, driving around. Nothing says community like a 2-hour version of shuffleboard. That was a holiday, let me tell you. And here's another one that I often think about. You know, when I say all the time you can't spell Brian without the I in idiot, I like doing crazy stuff. I had a meeting this morning. Politician running for office. I know. I think I think this is one of the good ones. Talking about writing some speeches. So, you know, you go, you put on pants, try to find a shirt that doesn't have a stain. And you go to the meeting, and I put on my best behavior, so I go, look, you should know right from the outset, I'm crazy. Right? I believe in your all-natural being. I believe in synchronicity, the epiphany, the eureka, the serendipity, chance occurrences. Life goes down in the labyrinth. Got to have the courage for around the corner. Don't build a sandcastle under a double red flag warning. And the guy looks at me and goes, you start the meeting by telling me you think you're too crazy for me to hire? Yes, that's how I'm starting the meeting. Because you never can tell when you bump into these people. But I can tell when I meet a kindred. And if I ever have the honor of meeting you, the people listening, I'll know then too. Because deep down inside, we've never forgotten who we are. We don't need a backup plan. We're absolutely comfortable putting the eggs in the basket that is our soul and going, I'm in, all in. What's the worst case? I'll get an omelet out of it. We'll know when we meet each other. You can see the look in another person's eyes, which takes me back to that loneliness. Do you ever wonder in those times where you and I are lonely, we're lonely because we have a lonely look in our eyes, and other people that might also be lonely going, I don't need any more of that loneliness. If you multiply 0.5 by 0.5, what do you get? Smaller fraction. So what if the key to the charisma is remembering who you are? So when we bump into someone in the labyrinth, when we meet someone new, they see that charisma in our eyes. They feel that spirit coming out of our soul. They feel that vibration in our voice. Bet you won't be lonely for very long then. talk about charisma. So I think the root of all evil, the root of all disconnection, same thing in my book, as you know, the root of all loneliness stems from the lack of connection with your own soul. Because when you're sparked by your soul, that's the energy that other people see and other people want to be near. Now, I don't want to pile on. Those times when we're lonely, it stings. I get it. But we're a co-conspirator in that stinging. Next time you find yourself feeling lonely, 20-second victory. Breathe in, exhale, scan the horizon, take action, get up. Look at yourself in the mirror and go, what is it exactly I'm lonely about? Look yourself in the eyes. Recognize who you are at your core, your soul's sap. And it will be with that energy, that being of power, that when you turn away from the mirror, you get yourself dressed, you get out the front door, you go out into the world, into the crowd, throw yourself in, be crazy, do something different. What are the people going to see? What are they going to feel? What are they going to hear? What are they going to be able to taste in the air? They're going to taste your charisma. They're going to taste your passion. They're going to taste, it's a visceral. It just glues to you. When you've dovetailed your head and your heart, when you don't fall for the scam of loneliness. Because it's just fate's way of distracting you. It's just your ego's way of jumping on the bandwagon when fate wins in that regard. But when you remember who you ultimately are, when you connect to your soul, that's the energy, that's the charisma that other people simply cannot turn away from. You go out into the world with lonely in your eyes, you're going to get more loneliness. You go out in the world with that spark in your eyes, that all-natural spark, not the normal loneliness, the all-natural spark. That is you, your true identity. You go out in the world with that spark, you won't be able to beat them off with a stick. Won't be able to, like flies on a potato salad at a picnic on the 4th of July. You won't be able to shoo them away. But it all begins with the mirror. It all begins with our all-natural being. It all begins with remembering who we ultimately are. No more melodrama. No more hating our life. No more letting fate distract us and then derail us. No more loneliness. It's the byproduct. I want to share this with you real quick. I had 2 of them earlier today. I wasn't sure which one, or earlier yesterday. I wasn't sure which one was going to work. So I was like, I had another one. That's loneliness 2. Where's my loneliness 1? Hold on. I got another loneliness. I was going to share this way. Loneliness 2. No. All right, maybe I didn't save it. All right, so I had another quote that I was working on that basically says, loneliness is just the residual of your soul going, what the hell are you looking for? I'm right here. And I think we ended up with the byproduct of your soul longing for your own heartfelt attention. Loneliness really means we've just forgotten where to look. That's all. Because our soul's in us. And that's why I say all the time, I'm on your side even when you're not. You're lonely? Drop me a line. You're lonely? Drop me a call. My number's everywhere. You really feel that sense of loneliness? Send me a tweet, a text, a this or that. And if something happens that you can't get through to me, who knows what time of day it is, whenever it happens, here's what I'm going to say to you. Just remember who you are. Head into the mirror, look in your own eyes. Deeper, deeper than that, deeper than that. Remember who you ultimately are. Because loneliness is a shell game. It's a trick by fate to get you to look outside of yourself. Because it knows that if you look within, its run of your life is over. It's over. There's nothing it can do to win. And that's what it's all about. All right, my friends, I got to get out of here. Oh, let me tell you. Tomorrow, Friday, not going to be in. I've got to travel to do some television, Salt Lake City. So I'll be out there just for the day. then I'll come back. Then it'll be Saturday, Sunday, the weekends and the like. And you and I both know I've tried doing the show on the road before. I've been at dashboards of trucks. I've been in Belize. I've been all these other places. I got to run tomorrow for a show. So we will hook back up on Monday morning. In the meantime, if you need me, 331-684-7685 or SOUL. Hit me out, allnaturalbeing.com. Leave me your email. I'll respond back. Or, of course, on Facebook as well. Or Twitter, unless they've bounced me off there, too. Hook me up or hook up with me on Twitter, and we'll go from there. So, a little early to be saying this, but please have a fantastic Friday. Have an absolutely wonderful weekend. And I'll look forward to catching up with you first thing Monday morning. All right, my friends. Be fantastic. Be enamored with who you already are. You're going to have a blast this weekend. Talk to you on Monday. Bye now.
You've been listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy.
Join us live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern.
Also, check us out around the clock at allnaturalbeing.com.
Until then, always remember to bring your own bold.
Bring your own bold. What a great way to kick off a 3-day weekend. Bring your own bold. You know exactly where to find it. See you Monday.
IPMNation.com.